Hey, thank you for watching the VOD. And let me see. Yeah, we're kicking it off. I think if you're watching the VODs, there is a playtest VOD that I didn't upload from last Tuesday. Apologies for that. And then this one, that'll be at, I think that'll be it for this weekend. Yeah, it's Friday, right? Yeah, okay, so that's it. So, yeah, okay. Hey guys. Hey Kuzo. Or I guess, is it, yeah, Kuzak? Drew, Swanee, Tupac, Scruffy, Quixana. Ah, wait, no stress test. It's, I gotta update my shit. Sorry, you got baited. You got baited, sorry. Yeah, for those of you watching the VOD, I forgot to update the go live notification. I was just trying to lure people in here. That'll get you in here. That'll get you in here quick. Now I see who gets in here quick. Any other day, you wouldn't be here already. It was a test, and you have failed. Gunner, you have failed. Tupac's failed. Hey, Chasolo. No, there's no stress test today. There's no stress test. I baited you guys. I feel bad about it. I actually do. I hate when I do that. I was sitting here thinking, I was like, I know there's something I've got to update. I am, You interrupted my William Shatner and Neil deGrasse Tyson interview? How can those two personalities fit in the same universe? Why do I want to break your hearts? You said I was a loving robot, but I might not be an honest robot, Nina. Hey, Chaz, Solo, Dargith, Dadvik, Zukin, Simon, MMO Pug, Aaron Gunn. Yeah, everybody's flooding in. I think I'll just keep the, I think I'll just keep the whole stress test notification on at all times. Hey, fun times. Clickbait. Yeah. Hey, chili sauce. Darton, Tsunami-san Feldane. Now I have to entertain you. Did Night Harbor have all the new textures? It didn't. Night Harbor is still a work in progress. Let me... I thought I clicked on... I just restarted my machine because I was going to go into this without restarting my machine. And I was clicking on stuff and it was lagging and it wasn't good, so I just was like, all right, let me restart. Yeah, there's been a little bit of texture work and we're playing around with the lighting in there, but it is not finished for sure. Clickbaiter. Hey, what's up, Elron? I updated it in Twitch. I thought that would fix it. Is it still not fixed? Ah, shit. Trust me, like, I'm not gonna post stress test before Discord. Like, yeah, I did. I changed my notification message. Just keep an eye on Discord. You'll get the information there well before I start a stream. Oh my gosh, I'm sleepy. It's been a long week. Is there anything we can do to get you to think about a stress test? I can think about it, but it's not going to make it appear. Hey, Jimster. 3 years of community goodwill lost in an instant. For the whole team or just me? I mean, if you just bummed on me, it's all good. Did I ruin it for the team? Oh, man. Did I end up playing in the last playtest? No, I honestly, I ran around and just was just watching it kind of play out. I wasn't available for all of it, but I was looking a little bit at our new customer service tooling, just kind of watching how things was going, talking with the guys in Slack a bit more than usual. Yeah, so. Dukin said, found myself running around Fallen Pass for another reason, but man, the views. Can't wait for it to be more complete and people to see it. Yeah, for sure. I think it's really going to come together once we get final textures in there, and there's, you know, some tweaks and cleanup and stuff. And there's definitely a couple of those, like, incomplete spots, but... Nina said, happy belated birthday. Mine was on the 15th. Both March babies. Hey, happy birthday. Mine was supposed to be on the 17th. I was legit supposed to be born on the 17th. That's why my middle name is Patrick. And I wasn't ready. Hey, Fielder. What's up, Meeks? Will April test have multiple servers? Yep. If so, will rel characters be copied to all servers? Oh, I don't know. That's a good question. Ask us in Discord so I don't forget. Scruffy said, had a lot of fun in a stress test. Was so good to be in the game again. So stoked for Q1 2026, to be honest. Hey. Thanks, buddy. Yeah, we're excited as well. Year's already flying by. We got a shitload to do. But I think we'll be in good shape. The big question for all of you guys is, how long do you stick around after we go into early access? That's the next big question. It's been interesting watching. I think Pantheon had a really good turnout. I don't know what they were hoping for in terms of the number of people to get into early access through being on Discord and stuff. I don't know what their projections were, but watching their success there, to me, it felt like a really good turnout. But then that's when the next set of metrics comes into play, right? Which is retention. And so, you know, very, very curious how that'll work for us through 2026. But again, our goal is we're playing the long game, pun intended. The goal is to finish the game in early access. So whether we start off with a bang or a whimper in 2026, our goal remains the same, which is continue to build the game and get it to a point where you know, there's enough content there and the game looks good enough, and everybody's happy enough with it that we can build an audience. So it may be a situation where here we'll make an unnecessary illustration. No, I didn't mean to click Blender. Oops. Just got back into Blender. So here, this will be as good as the wonderful sword that I drew that one day. Alright, so the expectation is that we're probably going to see, and we don't know how high that curve's going to be, but we're going to see the thing that everybody typically sees over time, right? Like this is the common case. And what that time period is, who knows, right? Is that 30 days? Is it 90 days? Is it 6 months? But this is a common case. I mean, you see that now after 90 days. If you've been watching sort of the charts for Pantheon, they've been holding up pretty good, to be honest. I don't know what their numbers are behind the scenes. I would love to know. But I guess all's fair in business. That's their information. But man, I'd be very curious because that helps us game plan, right? So anyway, like they've got a nice They've got a nice, normal, gradual decline. There's going to be churn, especially in early access, especially if you're getting a bunch of people that aren't necessarily, you know, like part of your core audience or community that's been going the whole time. You get a lot of, you know, discoverability or whatever. Well, I'm not saying you get it on, it's actually kind of hard to be discovered, I guess, on Steam. But once you've got access to a pretty, you know, big market there. And so with them having over 100,000, last time I checked, I thought it was like 110 plus. That I can't get that data anymore. The website I was looking at doesn't provide it anymore. But anyway, that's pretty awesome. And so then just seeing sort of like that month over month churn, also pretty normal, especially depending on how much content you have available going into it, what the progression rate's like. Well, and the big thing is for you guys, a lot of people that have been sticking around the community forever. And so their curve's actually, you know, their curve's better than this so far. It's just, you know, it's kind of a, right? And so, and the, you know, the people that have been following our games should know what they're getting into for the most part, right? It's like, okay, so, but if we were to be exposed suddenly through like, you know, whatever, some viral moment, some creator makes a video or some shit at the beginning of this, we may see our curve really like sort of artificially inflated from where we think it would be. And all of a sudden it does this number, right? It hits up here and it's like some crazy amount. Like that could happen. And really the question is like, were we expecting this the whole time, right? Like, and so, yeah, if it dips below there, then it still kind of failed previous expectations. But those of you that are actual adults and business people out there, you may be looking at what I'm doing here and just being like, what the fuck's this guy talking about? He doesn't even know what he's doing. Oh no, we're doomed. And that is very feasible. Sorry, team. But anyway, back to the point. So if there is this like opportunity where we were expecting to kind of just grow gradually over time, which if you've watched our videos for the last like 4+ years, we've always been like, yeah, if we get a few thousand people early on and we can just kind of grow it over time by continuing to add more content, get more exposure, make the game better, provide a better service, then it's like, cool. Then linear growth is great, right? If we suddenly get some exposure and a bunch of people show up, but they're people that are like, oh man, it sucks to have to get your corpse. Oh man, it's too dark. Oh, there's not enough instruction. Like all the usual shit that we hear and we've kind of grown to expect. Then we may churn a shitload of them. Now, the cool part about that is, even if we churn those people, if we're retaining the original crew of people that we thought we were going to get, right? Like our original sort of core target audience, if we're retaining those people, and hopefully you guys are those people, right? Those people, yeah, you people. And, you know, so if there's a moment where it kind of blows up and then we churn those folks, well, then that's fine because this is just extra money. That's a $. Wait, no, it's backwards. Or is it? I've been in Europe too long. Yeah, that's a Scrooge McDuck right there. And so, you know what, because, hey, it would be great to retain all those people, but the thing we can't do is to go, oh shit, we're going to change our game, and because these people are disappearing. Oh no, we're losing these people. So quick, get rid of the darkness, you know, like, I don't know, do wacky shit to try to keep these people happy. Well, you guys were our core audience all along, right? So what we'll do is we'll continue to follow through with our plan. And then hopefully we'll find that by following through with our plan and making a really good game with enough content, it will grow over time. So why did I even bring this up? Why did I bring this up? I don't even know why I brought this up. I don't know. Let's work on a zone or something. Roar the Shaman says yawn. I know. Well, welcome to the stream. Hey, Miko Bites. If somebody can remember why I brought that up, then I'll continue the thought, but I think we're good. Hey, Says. Hey, I saw your Discord post in response to that individual that got really upset because like thought there was gatekeeping and stuff. Because I wasn't streaming during that stress test on Saturday. I wasn't streaming, so I was just watching like OOC, and the way you described it is very much what happened. Like, individual asked questions, got responses, made some comments about what they didn't like about the game, got some responses, got upset, right? So thanks for the very level-headed response to the response, and that's cool. Not picking on that person, but you know, like, it was like somebody in Reddit the other day, in our Reddit was also had like posted like something about us banning people that disagree in our Discord. Like, yeah, and then we get dogpiled by the people that are like the regulars there, the echo chamber, and then if you get dogpiled enough, then you get banned. And I was like, all right, I don't have any professional bearing anyway, so I was like, I'm sorry. Like, the first part, all of your feedback, what you didn't like, thumbs up, you're allowed to express that. Cool, sorry you don't like it. The part where we ban people, that is bullshit. That is absolutely bullshit. Because, like, I think we've banned like 5 people from this chat over the last 5 years. One of them, I probably shouldn't have. I shouldn't have banned them. I just got tired of arguing with them. Like our Discord, yeah, Dargith is still here, so we obviously don't ban people enough, let alone in Discord. Yeah, Lich is still here, and it's all his fault. You Mad Brew, thank you for the follow. I almost said Umad Brew. Umad. I was like, we've been in Night Harbor too long. I was like, Umad? Umad Brew. Brother. Welcome. But it's You Mad Brew. So thank you for the follow. Ketson, a long time ago said, thank you for extending the test. I wouldn't have got in on the last test if it wasn't extended, so thank you. That is rarely me. Send your thanks and love to Nick and Ali, who are typically the ones that are staying awake to make sure that the tests continue. I usually just go to bed. I am old and I don't stay up late anymore, really. Grimday77 said, play tested this weekend. Love the game. I hope I get into next. Oh, I didn't remember why I went on that asinine MS Paint rant now, because I was just kind of like thinking about the next stage. I was like, all you guys that are like, oh my god, I had so much fun that, you know, that 10 hours I got in, or when we have the upcoming like 3-day playtest, like, I'm just really praying, like really hoping that you guys get in when you have like unfettered access and you stick around, right? Like you're like, you know what, I can play this for months and months and months. That'd be so awesome. So that's the next big test. Wolverine Tooth says, first time in this stream. Have seen you on it's like, have you seen you on YouTube? I have. It sucks. I don't like seeing me on YouTube. I try to avoid as much. I do it long enough to get a thumbnail, and I'm hoping the AI gets better at picking thumbnails for me. Several times. Also joined last stress test, which was fun. Really looking forward to this game. All right, man. Wolverine Tooth, welcome. Chinny said, Blender stream, let's do it. Soon. We'll do some Blender streams, but I don't know where Bjorn left off on the zone, so I'm not going to touch that in this stream, probably. Chinny said, a rough sketch of the halfling zone. Look at those hills. I am a big fan of making hills now, so I'm looking forward to. But I kind of feel like you should do the halfling zone when the time comes, since that was your audition zone. Wait, is Chinny a halfling IRL? I think so. I don't want to dox him though. G. Williker said some of those people will churn, sleep on it, and come back love it like I did. I think that happens as well. That's going to happen for all of our games. You just got to have a good plan in place to keep like adding more content and getting getting the fixes in, and I mean, you know, we're here for the long term. We want to be around for, you know, we want you to look back on 10, 15, 20 years of playing this game. So first couple years, and they're going to be what they be. But you kind of describe it. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in other people's Discord starting. I would say, like, if people come into our Discord and just start acting a complete fool and being disruptive, we'll time, like, I've timed out a couple people. I'll be like, here's your little 7-day timeout. Yeah. And then if they come back and are still kind of like whatever, we banned somebody who came in and like was just posting pictures of penises one morning. It was just like there's just a ton of penis in the Discord. We banned them because I mean you kind of have to for that. Like they were wanting it, so we couldn't like not ban them. I'd hate to disappoint them, but it wasn't like a big deal. We weren't like, you know, the bat signal didn't go up because it was like, oh no, there's penises in Discord. Like our player base is pretty much, you know, it's most of you, let's be real, are probably 32 to 55-year-old dudes. If I had to guess, there's some, you know, there's some other than dudes in here, but for the most part, right? So, you know, plenty of, and honestly, most of you, if you're not dudes, you're still old if you're in here. Let's get real. And if you've not seen a Discord thread full of penises by this point, then are you really living? So that's not to encourage you to post them because we will absolutely ban you. But did I do artwork for EQ? I didn't. I was a game designer on EverQuest. I thought I was going to do artwork for EQ. And the guy that got me into the company was the environment artist, who then also became the lead environment artist while I was there. And then I worked with him again in Austin when I moved there and worked on DC Universe Online. Wonderful, wonderful dude, no longer with us, Dave Nevela. Odd fun fact about Dave, was friends with the Insane Clown Posse, like since like back in the day. They lived in the same town and both had an interest in music, hip hop. So just a wacky kind of thing. But he is the guy that got me into the company. And I thought I was going to be an environment artist, and I realized I needed up my skill set once I got there, and they didn't have any environment artist openings on the team, but they did have game design opportunities through the apprentice program. And so that's how I weaseled my way onto the team. Wonder whatever happened to that one kid who found his way into chat that one day. The tab target guy. $35, never seen a penis before. I'm glad I wasn't in Discord those days. Doggeroni. You're like, I have a condition. I don't look down. Chinny said he's only a halfling in the sense that he lives in the Midwest, which is the Shire of America, loves naps and food. Well, I think that makes it official. I did see the big update on Evercraft. AOA. I'm still, I guess I have to update my, I've got to update my little command thing. But for those of you that aren't aware, Eco here has a new name. But I think the redirect works on that link. Okay, cool. Did he ever wear makeup? Nope, I don't think he ever did. But Simon, Dave did mix beats, and at one point he and I, because I got really into like production stuff. I had like a Tractor S4 and it's like a Ableton AP90 or APC90 or whatever it was, the one with all the buttons. This was like 2010ish. And Dave and I would mix some beats and send them back and forth and write little silly hip hop songs. It was pretty funny. Question about the eco rename. Is it Adrelin or Adrelin? I don't know, but it's like Luckland, right? Like it's, now we have that question to answer. Night Harbor is so huge, city feels like its own zone. Absolutely love it. It is its own zone, Nina. What are you talking about? I'm getting out of here. I'm zoning to Keepers Bight. Any plans or ideas floating around about physical collector's edition of M&M? Physical versions of all the MMOs I played. Love to have a couple. Yeah, we've matter of fact, Stab has even reached out to a company in France because he's Swiss, so naturally he gravitated towards the French gaming scene. But we've got some estimates and stuff, and it'll be one of those things that if we ever have cash in the future, then we'll put some cash aside and there I go. Let me start flying. We'll put some cash aside and see about, you know, we'll probably investigate like interest. I don't know if it'll be actual pre-orders. Again, we hate taking your money in advance for stuff. But we'll figure out a process by which we can validate interest, and then we'll see if we can get something made. Because we all want like we all want a box and cloth maps and trinkets and all that shit as well. So we're right there with you. But it's not a near-term thing. It's a later in the game kind of thing. I feel like somebody asked a valid question, like a new person, and then I missed it earlier, so I feel bad. But I'm finally caught up. What happens is I'll go, if you're new to the stream and you haven't watched the VODs, I'll just go on like a random ass rant about something and then get really behind on chat. But I like to really stay on top of chat. If you're here to see like the epitome of productivity, I am not the avatar of productivity. But I do like to honor your questions and statements as much as possible in chat, because I am a fan of yours. It's Friday and the coffee's actually kicked in. What zone is that? It looks awesome. This is Keepers Bight. So it's very much in progress. We're blocking some stuff out. Bjorn has been gracious enough to help me dust off my Blender skills from year one of working on this game. Because environments, we got a lot of environments that we like to get in. And a lot of times what we'll do is design will just kind of like go back and forth with environment art. Be like, hey, could you fix this? Could you change that? And I have some art capabilities. So I was like, hey, could you just get me brushed up on like our workflow and our pipeline again? And what I'll do is, because there's some stuff that it's like really kind of mocks Nick's little stuff. Keep in mind everything is placeholder right now except for kind of like the terrain and layout. So you know, it was like to kind of get caught back up on stuff. This area was a bit kind of chaotic and very initial placeholder. So I was like, oh, let me come in here and kind of like clean this up and make it a path again, and go in and clean up the harbor a little bit and stuff like that. And so it's still, you know, scale wise, it's still very big. So I think we'll probably still want some trees and stuff kind of going through here maybe. to help make it a little less kind of like, meh, what's going on? There's nothing here. Spoiler, they'll be, if you come running in here during the playtest and you're low level, there'll be some high level orcs and they'll kill you. So some art capabilities. I saw the perfect sword. Don't downplay that once in a generation talent. Thank you, Dargith. You know, and then I come in here and of course, you know, because I'm messing with some stuff, it breaks that shit, but we'll fix it. We'll get it painted and cleaned up. Night Harbor, you could go probably level 1 through 60 or 20 at least. It truly is its own zone. It is, yeah, it's its own little world. Roar. I don't know if you can go 100% 1 through 60 there yet. You will be able to, and there is most of that in there already. There's there are at least 2 mini dungeons in Night Harbor that are populated at this point. So hey, first, what's going on? Oh, I know what I need to do. I need to fix the safe spot. Yeah, if I get bolder later as I'm, you know, getting caught up on my blender skills. Can I get up all these right now? We'll probably want to fix that. Ah, there we go. Cheated. Hacks. You call your bedroom a mini dungeon? Makes sense. What's up, Ruguru? Yeah, you know, if I'm getting more confident with my blender later, then I might shrink all this a bit to make it a bit tighter. Maybe move that zone wall in while also like just, you know, making all this a little bit cozier. But that's fun stuff. Like I find doing the zone art stuff in Blender, the little bit that I've done like just recently and then in that first year, it was so relaxing. It's so nice. Hey, Hathen. Because it's one of those things where you can do it without like having to be, you know, it's different than writing. It's different than you know, a lot of the other work that goes on. Scale's pretty big in here, so we'll have to have some accompanying smaller boulders to make everything kind of feel actually rooted in here. Got to do we've been debating a little bit about trees and which ones to go with. So because we've got some nice examples in the next zone over. So all of these trees considered all placeholder, but I was just kind of like looking at these and moving around a little bit from where Bjorn had them just to see how to break up line of sight a little bit better so that it's not, you know, it's not as open. This big facade back there will be new as well. Brelic, there is no required physical edition, but we want to put a physical edition out later that just is like a collector's item, and we'll want that to be as affordable as possible. It won't be a $450 mega version, incredible. It would be nice to get it closer to something like 70 or $100, but really the main thing that determines that is how many do we buy. If we're only having a couple thousand made, then it pushes the cost up. I think we could probably get it in that range though, based on the first sort of like what do you call it, estimate that we were given, but then they had like some really high shipping costs in there, and that was like, that's no go. But good looking out for us, Brelic. Welcome. Thank you for the follow. I wonder how many floppy disks it would take. All right, so this is like the 8th time I've started but then not done the thing that I need to do, which is get a good location so I can move the safe room. How does Glass Flats look nowadays? Haven't seen it in a while. I don't think there have been any major updates to it yet. We can go look at Sangri in a minute. I know Bjorn's been taking the work that we did in Shaded Dunes and updating Sangri a little bit, so we'll look at that. Is Yushu's in here by any chance? Let me get her loc. Let me open the database. Oh. The human with a backpack and 80s style baseball shorts looks like a scout leader you once had. I could see that. Does a spell exist in game which works like regen but reverse on enemies, which affects mana on enemies, like a mana dot? I don't know. Somebody in chat may know. Telsmere says, Robot, I wanted to ask, will Eminem have expansions and a raising level cap or a different long-term plan? Our hope isn't to just like lean on raising the level cap. That can get to a point where it's kind of, I don't know, it doesn't feel good to, you know, like come in and then you all of a sudden you see like 100 levels ahead of you. Our hope is to go a bit more horizontal and then provide more content and sort of do some soft raises where it's not strictly level, but there is a power increase. And so allocating enough power headroom to be able to do that. So it's like 60 tier 1, 60 tier 2 or whatever, but tier may be the wrong word for it. There'll be more on that later. But instead of expansion, so far the plan is, because the challenge with expansions is if they're like paid expansions and people don't get them, then you start to you know, segment your player base a bunch, and that's not the greatest. I personally am of the belief that the more we can kind of build that into the service. So if you're paying $15 a month, you know what? Some months you pay $15 and you get access to the game, and that's great. In some months you get a nice update as part of that. And then some months you're getting an expansion, right? And so over time that kind of like balances out the cost. Instead of paying 40 or 70 or whatever you pay for an expansion, it's all built into that $15 a month over time, and you get it because either you're new and you joined at just the right time, or you've been loyal, and we appreciate that. What else do we have up here? Damn, I love the wolf model in Atom so much. Zukin, you did an amazing job with the wolf. And scroll down, Zukin says, thank you. Zukin said, I think Urkin staff's animations really sell the wolf. Yeah, I mean, really happy with the NPCs. Just no complaints. Interesting, thank you. EverQuest had 8 expansions in the first 4 years. Yeah, trust me, I know. I was part of cranking them out. The 2 expansion a year, like going from Plains of Power to Luckland to Plains of Power to immediately Legacy of Akesha, then into Lost Dungeons of Norath. Like it's tough, man. I think it's also easier for us to focus on making the live game instead of the expansion part of the game, but the live game, excuse me, as good as possible. If the expansions are part of the live game, that makes sense. Let me find the zone information and then update the safe zone. Yep, because we flipped the zone around. I realized I was in here the other day and I was like, I think the sun is rising in the west and setting in the east. So do we have the zone backwards? And then we did like triple verification. And in fact it was. So we had to move all the arts 180 degrees. And that's why the safe spot is not safe anymore. And that's why these numbers are now basically the same, only negative. Interesting. And we'll test that in a second. Oops, heading 96, not 69. What was I thinking? I had it backwards. Silly. That's silly. Okay. Oh, the jail coordinates aren't even in here yet. I guess I could have moved the jail. Oh, forgot to look if latitudes change when moving north. Dude, that's all you first. What's up, Quatos? Will the jail be raid content where we can free players place inside it? No, Feldane. Let me click off and back on, just make sure. I am good today. I'm a little sleepy. It's kind of been a long week. Not in a bad way, just a long week of flat earth ether. Damn it, John. So I'm good. I'm just a little... How's the music? Is it too low? Is it too loud? Speaking of Quatos. Why do I just... The more times I reload, the less and less clothes I have on. I should at least have a hat on right now. Jeez Louise. I'm gonna get... Maybe that's just the outfit I need. I like how the pedestal makes me look kind of like a figurine. I love the little hunt Goblin did for us at one time. I was so excited getting to use all the mud commands. If it's the scavenger hunt thing, that was first. Goblin may have assisted, but first actually implemented that. A little low. I'm getting multiple little lows, but I also got a music is perfect. I have sensory issues and no problems. I'm going to bump it a little bit for people because they're saying it's a little low, and I could imagine that being the case. I'm going to just a little bit, but if it gets too loud, you guys let me know. All right? I'm here for you. Bumping a little would be perfect. You mean I should put some 15s in my Civic? Love the gnomes. Can't wait to see deep gnomes with really big eyes. I can't either. It's going to be an interesting test to see whether or not that works. But yeah, dwarf. I mean, the different dudes have a lot of character. Look at him go, man. Look at he's just the head is going, man. He's got to cover a lot of ground with these little legs. You can see his head's just like getting into it. Oh man, I'm pushing. Justin said it's Friday. I should listen to some Tupac or some Ghetto Boys. You gotta no. You need to not be aggressive on Friday. No aggressive music. You need to listen to some De La Soul. Is that Bard speed or faster? I think it's just Sal. Rebecca Black? I actually don't I don't place the name. Belle Bip DeVoe would work. Oh, why am I running here? Well, actually, I'm just running here because I don't think I've run here since we tweaked some of the geo. Rebecca Black sings that song, It's Friday, Friday. Oh, was that thing that went viral a few years ago? It was like was it one of the earlier sort of viral songs? During sort of like a few years ago, internet. Hey, what's up, Isan? Well, that's cool. I mean, I don't want to hate on the girls. She's a millionaire now, so it worked out well for her. Yeah, good for her. Hopefully she saved up. That was 14 years ago? No way. I can't believe I've been in Europe for 10 years. It's insane. I'm so old that like 10 years goes by super quick. Hey, Scheiden. Everything's good with me. I hope you're good. Do enchanters have a move speed spell? No, I do not believe so. But then again, I'll be honest, we're at this stage in the project where there's so much shit going on that I don't necessarily keep up with all of it. We've got a lot of our bases covered now, and so we've got a lot going on with, just all sorts of stuff. This zone would benefit from a griffin or two. So Corvid, we don't have griffins yet, but you will absolutely get bushwhacked by... There'll be some different sized drakes in here. As we're building out our library of monsters and all that stuff, just, never know, may come backfill here, that kind of thing. But yeah, you'll definitely get hit with a drake. So, and I think I've already got some in here, but we're messing around with the geo so much that it's very possible that we won't run into them. You can see like stuff just got all mushed up. But we may run into one. So we'll be working on this. Would you accept an NPC named Andy Griffin? I don't know, John, that we would ever do that, so stop teasing. Now, Andy? There may be a Schmarty Bife. Valenex said, loved playing both of the stress tests, learned about the Beetle Armor quest on second, got a full set in a small bag, played cleric and really struggled to kill a mob at level 1 without my DD spell, without a teammate. Biggest issue I had was finding group mates. Would really enjoy some kind of indicator to help you find their direction in general, but not sure how to do that without a compass. Oh, you mean like not finding people that want to play with you, but like literally finding them. We've talked about some like spells like flares and stuff like that in the past. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Nick, if you're secretly lurking out there, you gotta grab some of these crazy spell ideas, buddy. I mean, even placeholder, this is already feeling a lot better. Notice this is an odd question, but I figured I might ask anyways. With homes being able to be purchased for the property being rented in Monsters in Memory. Will players have the capability to plant gardens for consumables or trade skill materials? Yep. Depending on the property, it may be, you know, that may be like a window garden. I just made that up. Or I don't know, maybe a hydroponic garden in your house. But we want you to be able to also have like some places that have bigger gardens and like some actual some farms. There'll be some farms. Bricks on the bridge are huge. Yeah. Again, placeholder textures. Plus, I'm tiny. Nick's new Ranger Death Touch ability was both hilarious and cool. We thought so as well. We were laughing about it in our Slack channel. Keyframe says, Robot really enjoyed the fighter, especially when you guys described its utility as a DPS it brings as a tank. Is there any chance that the class will have the ability to dodge a full DPS mode similar to WoW Warrior? You know what? The best place to ask that is in our Discord. You'll see Nick's in there a lot. That is a Nick question, and if you chat us up in Discord, you'll get an answer, but I won't be able to answer it for you. A fog settles in. What? Did someone turn the fog on, or did it just come? Let's go look at the ocean with the fog. It settled in pretty fast. That fog's not joking. Is there a way to push a person out of a lot by outbidding him for the plot? That is not the general approach at this time. But who knows? That might be the mechanic for certain plots. I want to get to the water before the fog clears up. Definitely still some work to do, but that's kind of neat looking in there. I should run around without my HUD on more. I should also run around without me on screen more so that people can... weather changes don't seem to affect FPS much. Must be some neat tech in there. I don't think it's anything crazy. But it is something that we'll also continue to look at to make sure that that stays the case. Spiders spawn from the trees in the fog or just in general, Zach? Oh, I've got to get to the ocean. What all programs are being used to make the game? We're using Blender. We're using Unity. Some folks I think might be using Maya. Probably some Photoshop, some Substance. Whatever nerdy stuff the programmers use. Swanee's using Vim, whatever that means. Is Infravision broken, or do Wood Elves not benefit from it? We're messing with lighting a lot right now, and so I think Infravision, Ultravision may be a casualty of. Lich is laughing at me. I don't know, man. I don't keep up with everything. You guys are, oh man, street credibility gone. He doesn't know what Vim is. What is Vim? Well, I can't see the ocean with this fog, so there we go. Zebra said in general, maybe they have a nest where they come from. We'll have to see. Destroy the nest spawn. We'll stop for a while. We could do something like that. We've got spiders in the next zone over. One of the things, and this isn't to say no, because we'll want to get some variation in here as well. One of the things until we get more and more sort of NPCs built up on the list, just watching that we don't use everything everywhere kind of thing, so that areas feel pretty unique. But I could picture a little nest in one of these tree lines. Are you guys, did someone answer my question, or are you just going to continue to mock me? Chip is saying for infravision, you really have to see it on and off in the same view to really appreciate how impactful it is. If you can't tell the difference, you're likely one of the people that has everything. You're likely one of the people that everything is unbearably dark for to begin with. Yeah, so we'll continue to look at that stuff. Oh, it's clearing up, or is it just time of day change? By the time we get over to East Tim, the East Coast is really kind of gloomy and sketchy. So by the time we get there, is this sun going? Yeah, okay, it's supposed to go down. Yeah, okay, we're good now. By the time we get to East Tim, I think we'll have fog just kind of like wired, so we'll get it right. Vim is a text editor in Linux, if that's what he's talking about. I was supposed to know that. Nerd. Is the green glowing castle a placeholder graphic? It feels it doesn't suit with the other nice graphics somehow. The green glowing castle will continue to be updated for sure. It's a zone that needs to get built still. And now it is dark. Can I jump back over here? I can. While I'm in here, I should probably just set up the jail as well. Relic, you're welcome for the responses. I really haven't been in this zone in the dark. I'm always turning the lights on when I'm working. So even in its current state, I think in the dark, I'm feeling it. And again, we'll continue to adjust lighting and all that stuff, but oh, I definitely think we need some wisps in here. Let me make a note. You guys might get tired of seeing wisps, but we're going to be using them. So I'm going to make a note about your spiders, Zach. Spider nest. Oh, I know where I can put it. No, I'm not going to put it there. I'll put something else there. But I'll make a note for those things. Spider nest. Wisps. That'd be nice. Some lanterns around the bridge in town. Oh yeah, for sure. Oh wait, you know what? We got wasps. I bet we can make a glowing wasp. Glowing fire wasp of death. New achievement. First, you said sunsetting equals less refraction on the environmental fog. Are you saying that it was not doing that, or it should do that? Every time you say something like that, when you point something out, I'm like, is it not correct first? Oh, you guys want to... Do you want me to ruin stuff for you? Or should I just let you find it? I was in here. I'm like, I did a super minor thing, but I'm proud of it. Flashback to Burning Wood Wasp. Yeah. Not an original thought, I realized. Hunt October. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, so this area down here was just kind of all like sloped and stuff like that. And I was like, I came down here and I flattened it out and I was like, dude, this is such a perfect under the bridge area. That's literally all I was going to show you. I was so proud of the under the bridge. Yeah, once we have trolls, right? You got to pay the toll. You should stop streaming altogether and surprise us in a year or whatever it is. His name is Marty? Absolutely. It was funny. It was funny. The vice president of Sony Pictures, when he had taken over Sony Online Entertainment, Sony Pictures took over SOE for a while. I think ultimately they're the ones that sold it. But we were doing like our sort of like Christmas get together, product review, and then Christmas party. There's a gentleman named Yair Landau. And somebody asked, because you could ask him questions. They were showing like trailers to movies that hadn't come out yet. They like showed us Stealth, I think was that the robot plane one. And it was like, it was still green screen and like previs boxes and stuff. So it's kind of cool. And somebody asked from one of the teams, because it's like 500 Sony people in there, and Yair's up there. Actually was a pretty sharp guy. They asked him like, hey, do you feel like you guys reveal too much in your movie trailers and it ruins the movies for people? And he said, you know, basically no, they haven't found that anybody like actually cares or remembers. It was like, because intuitively I was like, I don't believe that. That doesn't make sense. But he was like, no. He's like, that's how you get them in there. Yeah, I think having a few glowy things out here will be good. First said, sorry, I have no idea about correctness. The environmental fog just has an effect, bit setting dependent, where it transmits, amplifies light. Just has some interactions with directional light and also local held light. Think sandstorm reflective is yeah, it would be nice. There's some settings that I think we've still got to figure out with some of the environmental effects. Let me time set 5 a.m. I brought up... Was I looking something up? Because I brought up a tab to search for something. Oh. Zone spoilers haven't helped too much. IMO. Yeah, and I mean, there's so much going on right now that I can't, and I just wouldn't be able to show you everything anyway. So I just set it to 5 a.m., I believe. Want to see the sun come up? Yeah. All right. So we'll see the sun come up in a minute. I know where I'm at right now. My tree is huge. Also, I'm tiny. Newest Captain America movie totally spoiled all the best parts of the movie with the trailers. Yeah, I don't believe him, but he seemed to think that that was the case. But Corvid said, watch these guys build several zones, and it's a different story when you actually take a group into these places and have to survive. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, so I've got the feeling woods are going to be sketchy at night in terms of losing your direction. We'll see. We'll have a couple things that are giving off light to help you maintain your bearing. So there may be lights up in the facade for, and we'll probably make that a bit glowier. We'll cheat. We'll come back. What time is it now? Time. It's 5, so we'll come back to 6, I guess. But as you're looking north, there'll be camps in different places with some lights, so that'll help. When you look north at Evershade, you'll see the glowing Phelan draw and stuff like that in the trees. Moss growing on north trees. Little glow where it does spawn. Maybe. Wonder how hard that would be to do. And then are we unable to like easily flip the trees around if we want just like a different perspective of them? Ignore wacky stuff there. But anyway, there'll be lights in the trees there. And there'll be lights down at the inn here. There are for sure a few camps that you'll run into. There'll be some druids around this guy. What do you think about changing a monk class to a WWE wrestler class? It's funny you say that. How many people, not most, was in the starter zone at the same time during the playtest? Turning this down a little bit because the song's going pretty loud. I forget where we capped out this time around. 3 something? $300 and something, I think, at a minimum. 350, 380. I don't know if anybody remembers. I have to ask Ollie. Let's see, what else is there? Somebody else had asked earlier if we got the data we needed from the playtest. I forgot to respond. Yeah, we got a lot of really good data, and we were able to go. We were able to go from the playtest the stress test on Tuesday to you probably noticed like it felt improved on Saturday, so we were able to act on the data pretty quickly. Zach, have you I don't know if you're into audiobooks, but if speaking of like pro wrestler as a class in the game, if you haven't listened to Dungeon Crawler Carl, they've got so many wacky classes in that book series. I could definitely see pro wrestler as a class. But he's recommended a book to you. Have not had the opportunity yet. Man, we love it. We just love it. Let me. Why did I do that? Ugh. Can I just copy this? I can't. Okay. There we go. Cool. All right. Let's go back to it. Why is it not letting me go back to... I'm just being dumb. Hey, Todd. My UI is always completely discombobulated because I'm always messing with the window size. That'll work. I think that'd be nice there. Trying to remember. I think it's this way. Oh, that's a good point. It's probably best if it's above the water line. We send someone to the GM box and they just drowned. That's probably something we have to consider in zones with a lot of water. Shame. Yeah, sorry you were acting a fool and we had to send you to the jail box and then you just drowned. Dude, that would be sketchy. I would personally I'm not a fan of that concept. You can use the volume to remove the water. Yeah, I'm just thinking we haven't done that here. Use the volumes that I think Simon had set them up for that one secret place. Enhanced interrogation techniques. With this running, I don't know. I'm trying to think, oh, it's probably just in here. I bet I could just find it. It's probably labeled. Cat box. Or maybe not. Where would it be? Geo? I guess. Cat room. There we go. Oh, hey. It's my boy. Hey. I didn't know he was in here. It's just, this is the last thing you see as you drown. That would bring him joy. Rooney, you're on the wall in here, buddy. He's taking a nap over nearby. Dude, he's so cute, but he will straight up bite the shit out of you if he doesn't know you. He doesn't bark. He doesn't growl. Nope. He just looks at you and then he bites you. Like one good solid bite. And then he just looks at you like, all right, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it, human? But he's tiny. Through the wonders of 3D. Can I just Control Shift F me? Can I just F me? There we go. Effing me works. All right. I like me. I like me underwater, glowing. Man, I look very. I look like a. I look like an '80s animation right now. Very Sword in the Stone vibes? Exactly, Todd. Oh, Force Glow. Or Force Ghost. Did Space Ghost also glow like this? That is a pretty cool effect. Oh, OMG's hitting the poor gnome on the ground. That is literally me. I'm punching myself in the face. Zukin, what do you think about this effect? Too much? If Zukin's still here. Sorry, didn't mean to call you out if you're not here anymore. So let's get a location. Oh my gosh. When he's got that glow. Show enough. I don't think Jasmine's see that movie. No, not Soul Glow. Different glow. Thinking for a ghost? No, I'm thinking like just a weird effect. I don't know. It's like short-term invulnerability or something. I don't know. Yeah, it's definitely Last Dragon. Was it Barry Gordy's Last Dragon? Who is the baddest? Show enough. Pop DA, get a nice outline. All right, so we'll use this. We'll use this look. We'll just have to remember that we have to put like a bubble around it. I'm seeing a spinny wheel. Did I? Yeah, I think they were just. I think they were just like slapping a shader, like sort of. Right, because it. I'm trying to remember. There was a lot of that stuff that was just kind of going on the body. A lot of it didn't look really. super great. I think we could do, you know, with hindsight and better tech, I think we could do probably a better... Oh, I mean, that's why. I think we could do a better job. Oh shit. Oh shit, I'm moving too fast. Cool, let me update. Bill, when I first saw that movie, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was so into it. I was running around. Like, that was my, you know, I think a lot of you younger people grew up, like, your first sort of, like, running around kicking everything. Like, moments where, like, Power Rangers kind of got some of you guys, younger folks, into it. For me, it was Chuck Norris. It was Last Dragon movie for sure. Bruce Lee flicks. Chuck Norris, Lone Wolf. Like, I don't think I've ever seen the TV show, but the original, like, Lone Wolf. Wasn't that the name of it? Lone Wolf McQuade. Like, that movie was so badass. That sequence where they bury the truck and then he, like, hits the turbo or whatever and, like, comes out of the dirt. You're like, yeah. Hey, what's up, you shoes? It's my once a stream. Thank you for introducing us to the book. We're still listening. We're still in book 4. We're still having a good time. If anybody's a personal close friend of the author of Dungeon Crawler Carl, please shoot me a DM. Cool. All right. So jail is updated. But we will definitely have to, fix it so people don't drown. Collision on. Reload, I think you have to. Highlander, Kung Fu, The Legend Continues. That's true as well. Carradine was still kicking ass back then. Here's a reference you may not get on the Kung Fu front. Billy Jack. Oh, Karate Kid, you're right. Like, Karate Kid was huge. I think all of us wanted to be Ralph Macchio for the longest time, probably. Cord said, would it make sense for invulnerability or some kind of magic melee absorption spell? It would make sense for that kind of thing. Different color for each. I could see that happening. And yeah, you know, like you guys were saying, I think we could probably do a lot with that. If we do it in a nice, tasteful way that matches the art style, we could probably do a lot with that sort of like shader. They're making a show announced 2024 for Dungeon Crawler Carl. Do you know, is it live action or is it going to be animated? Police story for the first time. Jackie Chan. Yeah. There was another... Oh, Billy Jack. The Billy Jack movies. It wasn't like super kung fu, but Billy Jack could definitely kick your ass. Said, speaking of abilities, since I'm a Final Fantasy 11 plebe and will never get a blue mage, never say never, can Inquisitors get a Cypher ability at 60 where the ability stolen is just reduced by like 50%? It won't happen, but I just wanted to put it out there. I don't know that it won't happen. Put it out there for Nick. Hit us up in, oh, you know where our Discord is. I just hit Discord. You know where our Discord is. Billy Jack movies are weird. The first movie really doesn't have any fighting. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've seen them. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Oh yeah, and there were all the badass ninja movies, like American Ninja and stuff like that. When I was a younger lad. Yeah, I'm excited to get in here. Like I said, we've got a couple open questions right now with regards to some of the styling of the geo. So Bjorn, Goblin, and I will get that sort of hammered out. We'll continue to work on the geo a bit, and then we've got some open questions about which trees we're going to use. We're looking at like multiple generations of trees right now. So we're going to settle on the trees. We're going to get the trees populated because there's going to be a lot of like dense groves and stuff in here that break up sort of there'll be some open areas and then dense groves. And then when you go into the groves, that'll really be where you kind of find like a difference in the NPCs, and some different camps and things like that. So excited to get this wrapped up. I'm hoping to have the bulk of that wrapped up for you guys. I mean, okay, maybe not the bulk of it, but a decent enough amount, if not the bulk of it, before the playtest. So when you come in here, it's a bit more, orderly and representative of what it is eventually going to be in early access. So that'd be cool. Malkney said, I just saw Sidekicks for the first time and was evidently a favor of my wife's growing up. Oh, that's badass. Yeah, I forgot about that one. What was the name of the young guy on that one? I forget his name. I thought it was Ernie something. I hope he finishes the series before TV gets put out there, so we don't have another Game of Thrones George R.R. Martin situation again. It seems like he's going pretty quick on the books, though. Bloodsport was fantastic. Good point. I don't know how it's going to be a hard show to pull off if it's live action, and I hope they don't change the language and stuff like that. Hey, Olo, what's going on? Things been good? How have you been? Yeah, it's Seth MacFarlane's company doing it, so I assume it'll be Family Guy style animation, to be honest. That's kind of what I'm hoping. I think they can pull it off with animation, and I think with him doing it, it'll be vulgar and gruesome and all that other shit. So I think that'll be good. It could be good. Honestly, just the audiobooks are wonderful. So even if we never watch it, we've definitely gotten our money's worth on the audiobooks. I would hope that if they do make a show, that they get Jeff Hayes to do the voices. Busy building a new deck and redid your entire backyard for the summer. Oh man, that is a lot of work. We gotta get the inn here. It's gotta get its crown. It just doesn't look right without its tree fro. Yeah, but Seth MacFarlane did Orville, and I thought it was pretty good. I don't think I've seen that. Was that good? Okay. Well, but I guess my main concern is not whether or not the acting's good. I think that part's good. I'm talking about like it's so over the top. Orville's good. All right, I'll watch it. It's with what's his face? Tim the Tool Guy or whatever, right? Was he in it? I just realized I've been sitting. Oh, that's Galaxy Quest? What's Orville? Hey, Cod. It was a Star Trek type show. Okay. I'll look it up. Why am I asking you guys? I've got the internet. Nina is apparently a big fan. Orville Redenbacher. Oh, okay. Right on. That actor looks familiar. Oh, because it's Seth MacFarlane. Okay. Well, there we go. Perfect. All right, we'll definitely check that out. That looks like good wholesome fun. I'll have to make sure that we get access to it. And Jasmine loves the DCC books so much that I think that it's actually like potentially a gateway for her into other stuff that she wouldn't normally like. There was a question about the location of this zone before we went off on this tirade, I think. Where was it? And who was it? Was it Corbett or something? Somebody was just asking about Scarwood. Does she like MMOs? Like Eminem? She played the only MMO she played. I think she had a boyfriend back in the day that played some WoW. But the only MMO that she played was TLP, the Aerodune TLP. She played like the first 26 levels or so with me. And then kind of like I wanted to play more and she didn't want to play and as much. And I think she did put in a full like 14-hour session or 12-hour session. Like she put in a legit 12-hour session one day. And I think that broke her will to live. So I was like, babe, this is normal. This is how you play. And she's like, no. That is not what I'm going to do with my time. I'm not doing that again. Did y'all get the inspiration for this zone from the Karanas? No, not really. Feels very Karanish. That's good. We want stuff to, you know, touch various nostalgia points. Speaking of touching your nostalgia points, was it you? Somebody was just asking if this was next to Scarwood. Yeah. So spoiler, to the east of here will be Scarwood and Fields of the Lost, which will probably will combine those thoughts soon into one zone, and we're actually going to be working on that stuff in the not too distant future because we're trying to get to a point where we can get ahead. We're going to be working on the first update, module 1. We're going to be working on that before we go live with early access, so that hopefully we can kind of have a rolling start to you know, our live ops, our live production plan. Oh, I was gonna make it rain because Swanee said it's great when it's raining, so. I think there's maybe something interesting going on with Collision. My little rain cloud's just staying over there. That looks like Florida. Yeah, there are definitely some neat ideas in Scarwood that we wanna keep. We were just talking about that. Just a moving wall of rain in the south. That's pretty normal in my experience. Does it, if I come back out here, will it follow me? Like when I lived in Alabama as a teenager, there were days I'd be out on my skateboard and I would just see a wall of rain coming towards me. Skate a little bit more, it's still coming. Skate a little bit more, then run into the garage. Here we call that haboobs, but it's sand. Oh, the wall of like sandstorm. Yeah, Ali has sent some images of some pretty crazy stuff. Cod said, "I like that the rain is physically there, not just filter on screen." Well, honestly, it's both. I mean, it is a client side thing. It's just there's something weird going on where it's. I think it's a collision thing. I think it just thinks I'm underneath. But you know what? One of my favorite things in this game is to find places where it's not raining and look out at the rain. I always forget to. Can't place that here. Interesting. Wonder if it's the zone wireframe box thingy. Oh, I have no idea what it is. We'll take a look. Hugosaurus says, I remember when Classic WoW came out and I was leveling in Feralis. The rain effect started and a crazy mist enveloped my whole screen. I'd never seen that effect and it was really immersive. Legit one of my first RP moments. Yeah, kind of. I think one of the first things that happened to me outside of Kanos was it got dark and then it was raining and I was completely in love. Ooh. What was my actual plan for tonight? So stuff that's going to happen over the weekend. Oh, there's a nice gap there I can fix. Stuff that's going to happen over the weekend. I really got to put some time aside now to, I've got some lore stuff to sit down and wrap up. Oh yeah, we can zone over to Sungreet and check that out. But yeah, it's weird like getting in and doing more zone stuff. It's so much fun that I'm kind of like, I've neglected some other work that I need to do in order to like get brushed up and kind of like try to get functional at that again. But yeah, so got some lore stuff to do. Got some zone stuff to do once we decide on these trees. Get in here and do some propping in here to sort of like really flesh it out. last thing to see before the giant wall of water comes. Yeah, sketchy. I used to have when I first moved to San Diego. For whatever reason, I remember why. Because I lived in this tiny apartment in North Park, and it had bars on the windows and like bars on the door. And it was one of those little tiny barred up California hood apartments, and I used to have nightmares all the time that a tidal wave would come and I'd be trapped in the apartment. It was really weird. I was not a fan of that apartment. All right, so let's go to Sungreet Strand. Your be right back screen should just be you sitting there staring off in the rain with some gentle music playing. Some lo-fi. Oh hey, it's still raining. But this is a bit more soothing of a place, and the rain works properly. I like the desert rain, to be honest. Maybe it's just because I have I mean I'm a native Floridian, so. All right, so it's still in progress, but we've got new zone wall geo being worked on to work with the new textures. Need some rain conditional plants in the desert. Dang it, first. I gotta bring out my notepad again. We need to get that over to Rift to implement. Like that I do like that you can see the city from other zones. I remember in EQ is that you couldn't see Kinos anymore once you zone in the hills. Yeah, I mean, it just kind of felt important to even, or especially with a zone-based game, to have that continuity. So Goblin's working on a new road texture right now to wrap up SD. Really helps with sense of direction too. Yeah. Rain conditional monster spawns? Yeah, rain conditional fish. You know how it is, the fish in the rain. I don't know what fish anymore you would get when it's raining, but... Fish frenzy? Do they actually frenzy in the rain? Some creatures come to the surface from the ground when it's wet. Speaking of wrestling, somebody mentioned that we should, it was Zach who had mentioned that we should change the monk class to pro wrestler class earlier. I thought of you. But I didn't say anything. I didn't want to dox you. But now it's too late. Oh, dude. I wonder if Chip, is there any way to have like additional lightning around Mount Akir? when it's lightning out, there's some additional pops out there. Make it extra sort of like, what is that place? I really like what Simon or whoever ultimately did it. I like what they did over here with the dunes in the distance. That's a big guy. This engine is Unity, as the team will bring up every time we discuss lighting. Man, it makes it look so vast being able to see the dunes like that. I'm tired of just thinking about to walk over to them. The funny thing is, I don't think it's really a spoiler, but we have, for sort of like either 1.0 or maybe post 1.0, we've already got some zones that we know. Like there's a expedition that we would want to set up that goes deep out into that area, and it's super fun. It was an area that we had originally wanted to have like between glass flats and the zones that we were just in, like Keepers Bight and stuff. There are a couple zones there that we were wanting to do, and first actually did a lot of the design work on one of those zones. So we know what's way over there. It's going to be a long time before we get there. Nope, not Dragon's Run. Dragon's Run suffered a bit from not having a lot of identity. It may make a return in some way, but like I kind of like it doesn't feel super necessary. You never know. Maybe Dragon's Run will wind up being a zone that's kind of like the way that if you ever go to Mount Akir up here, then maybe that's the name of a zone that's a path. We've talked about, we may end up doing some really simple zones that are relatively small, that are just kind of like traversal zones. Like there's a this is just going to be a spoiler stream, to be honest. Just spoilering all night because I'm not working. I'm tired. It's Friday. It's casual Friday. Oh man, I forgot there's new stuff in this zone. Yeah, so this river actually will take you, in English, you'll take the ship from Night Harbor around the coast up to Keepers Bight. And if possible before EA, I'd really love to weasel in at least one zone north of that, in the water, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how caught up we get in on environments. But there's a couple sneaky zones that would like to get in. But we also want to have ships that go up the river, right? And so that you kind of go through the inland as well. And so the plan right now is, in the future, you'll be able to take a ship from Night Harbor up the river, around the coast, to the west. Yes. Yes. To the west, and then up that coast. But then there will also be a ship that goes along the southern shore here and takes you around, all the way around, and then up the east coast as well. That's a pretty long ship route. So maybe there'll have to be some exchanges. And then or maybe that's where it'll be a long route and it'll be a long ship, but then player ships by then, you'll be able to just like pay a player to launch their ship. Real travel event. Like it will take a while. And that's why the additional ships, like players being able to launch their own ships for a fee, seems like a fun idea, right? So like if it takes freaking forever for the Night Harbor ship to go all the way to Eastham, then it could be that, you know, because by the time we get to Eastham, we'll have a lot of the additional sort of shit figured out. Then you'll be able to just pay somebody and they'll launch whenever. But yeah, it's going to be pretty epic. Hey, what's up, Rex? How big can gnomes get in this game? Can I get a shot in to grow them infinite times or just 3? Doing well, just chiming in. I don't know if we have a cap on how big we can grow. Can you confirm that we can walk around the entire shore when the continent is done? It was mentioned in the past, but right now, even in existing zones, it's not possible. Yeah, you'll be able to walk along the shore when it's done. You can't walk along the shore now? Interesting. We'll have to fix it. The intent is for you to be able to walk along the shore. And those of you that are asking like about gardens and stuff earlier, it would be cool. Don't know, don't want to say 100%, but kind of hoping that like areas like this, like the ones that are in Night Harbor, and then imagine a zone like Piranhas, where there wasn't much there, but there are farms. Imagine, you know, if we're able to just make those extra plots, things where you can actually grow stuff, you can have a farm. And since there's, you know, there's finite numbers of farms and stuff in the various regions, it'd be something that you'd have to really want to invest in. And then you would be responsible for producing. We'll have to play with the economics of it and stuff, but then you'll be able to produce some stuff. People will be able to pick it up with their pack animals and maybe buy then wagons and then bring that to different areas. So we, you know, we'll probably have to look at some rebalances as we go to make that work. But community gardens, yeah, for things where there's some benefits like from renting property or owning property, air quotes owning property, we'll ensure that there's some parity there with various community and sort of factional access. Just curious if there will be ship ownership. If so, will the number of ships be limited? Don't know if it'll be limited or how we're going to limit it. It would make sense. It will be very expensive, but the desire is for you to own ships. You won't necessarily, I don't think you'll be able to freeform navigate them anytime soon, but the thought so far would be, like I was saying earlier, it may be that the ship goes up this river once, you know, once a day or something like that, or it may even be longer since we do the Groundhog Day or whatever. It may be kind of like once every couple of day cycles, just because it takes a while. But then a player would be able to launch their ship, and you would pay, and then it would make it more frequent. Is the thought so far? Wish we could claim mines for the equivalent of farms. Some of us just want to go swing a pickaxe in a danky cave. That's an interesting thought as well. I don't know how we'd balance it. It'd be like private access to a collection of nodes. Is your vision for farmland require that player will tend 100% of the needs, or would hiring NPCs to tend some of the farm needs and stuff like? I would say, if I had to guess, where we would land as a team is that we'd want it to be as player driven as possible. So that would encourage more than one person to invest in that, right? Like you would basically want a small guild or a pretty static group or whatever to own something like that. But we'll have to see. I mean, it could wind up just not working out. We could wind up trying some stuff with farms and it just doesn't work, or but it's definitely on our list and it doesn't seem impossible. We have some of the systems that we need already to be able to start working on stuff like that. And then it's, you know, and now we've got Rift, who's dedicated to trade skills and doing a great job. We've got Runaf, who's dedicated to item balance and, systems balance and the economy and stuff, who's doing a great job. Relatively new team member working with Nick and Ollie on that stuff, but really just kicking ass. So we've got a couple of new people that are dedicated to taking these things that they're concepts that we've talked about for a while. We've got a lot of support in for them. And so I think it'll be doable, because we're not, I mean, you know, we're saying like be able to own farms and stuff, but it's not like, it's not free form. You can't do it anywhere. There's, you know, there'll be I think a fair amount of like, you know, some people be bummed that it's not everybody can get one or whatever, but it's just we can't support some of that shit. And so rather than be like promising you the moon and not being able to deliver, we're gonna maybe make a few of you sad by putting these systems in a relatively sort of limited or kind of like a higher tier way or whatever, and then kind of go from there. And if it just, you know, we'll learn from it. We can revamp some stuff as needed. But anyway, yeah, I already mentioned that you can. Oh, the reason why I was mentioning this river originally was, we've talked about just like some simple zones that just make the world contiguous but feel a little bit bigger. So there may be a zone that you go up through here, and you enter into like this river valley zone, and it just takes you for a while, but it makes the trip a little bit longer. There may be some places to sort of hop off, but pretty simple. And then you go into another zone, and so it would just be a traversal zone. I think they'll be fun. All of our zones are pretty crazy so far, so it'd be nice to do some very simple little zones that add to the world sense but aren't a ton of work. Build a garden on a housetop. Maybe on a home we can build a garden on a roof. Maybe. We'll have to see. I've got the feeling some of our housing is going to cause us to come back and like revamp some structures over time, but that's fine. Doing that type of shit in early access doesn't freak me out, right? Like if we get in and people really love having home gardens and the housing's working well and the only thing that's missing is like some rooftop gardens, well, that seems like a worthwhile thing to take a little bit of time and like, you know, go back and revamp some structures while we're in early access. Like I think that's great stuff to do in early access, right? And even live, right? Like why not, if we find some stuff that we missed. And again, this is why we're not like focused on the idea of like selling box expansion after new expansion, all new continents, leave all the old shit behind. Everything's borrowed power, you know, like it's more of, hey, once we've got a nice steady live game, it'll be nice to kind of see what's working, what people like, and kind of take some of those things deeper or go back and re-implement some things to be a bit better. Might get your wife into M&M if there are gardens. Not sure I want that. Well, you got to figure that out and then let us know. Yeah, then you have to stop locking the door during playtests. This is a wild idea, but will there be something in the world that will add danger to those long haul goods? Some kind of triggered events and stuff? Yeah, we've talked about caravans and things, because that's not super hard to do at all. Don't see evolving the world as a bad thing, even post-launch. Be super cool as a long-time player to see changes as time goes on. Yeah, I as somebody that's worked on live games a bunch, that Scarab is just climbing his ass off. That's something the teams I've been on, we've always wanted to be able to do. And so I think it'll be cool. Asheron's Call had personal housing, but Legion Guild housing as well. Yep, we'll have guild housing. Because, I mean, it's basically just housing, but a different permission set and cost structure. Love that our world doesn't get left behind. That's a foundational, that's a pillar for us. I was thinking it might be neat if a group could place down a bedroll next to a camp and the first person to die in the group gets to respawn at it, and it's not easy, cheap to make another. I wonder how people will exploit that. Yeah, it's always up. See the. Oh, I thought the rain was doing it here again with the trees. is somebody down there? I was like, is there some fishing going on? I don't think. What could that be? Oh, cool. This also has the new textures on it. Oh, all of that actually has the new textures on it. There's no way to do it well in this game, but I really loved when you would camp, when you would sleep in Ultima, and you might get ambushed. Oh man, Ultimas were such good games. I see those fishing poles down there and nobody's there. I'm just wondering if like there's and I honestly I don't know. That's the first time I've ever seen that. I'm wondering if there's like an ultra rare spawn, a guy fishing. If there is, I wonder if he drops like an earring. Quest for the Avatar got 2 on rails for you. It was still an awesome game though. I'm gonna get some poor NPC murdered. I just ratted him out. I'm sorry. I honestly don't know that's anything. Let me know if it is. I have a good friend that missed all of 8th grade with mono when he was actually just playing Ultima 5 the entire year. That's fantastic. I think I was like 13 or 14 when that came out. I was fortunate enough, like my dad was on a assignment for a year or half a year, I think. Um, oh, it was when he was in Korea, and I think it was like half a year maybe. Um, we wound up. I already had like my Commodore 128 and my Nintendo, my NES, and we wound up staying. We lived in this trailer in the Ocklawaha National Forest in Florida, and I had Bard's Tale 1 through 3, Wizardry, um, Wasteland, like all these old games. And I played the shit out of games and like and then I would play Nintendo with my friend Ed, like across it was like just a kind of a farm road or whatever. And there was nothing to do out there. There's like one convenience store about like quarter of a mile away. We played a shitload of video games and played Trade Wars on the BBS and was just fascinated by the BBS. My mom was terrified. Hey Vatic, thank you for a follow. Played in the woods a lot. We definitely played in the woods, swampy woods. Because the Ocklawaha River was nearby. We'd just go down, like look at gators. What are you gonna do today? We're gonna go look at the gators. Playing in the woods in Florida was awesome, man. Oak trees, badass oak trees that are super easy to climb. A little bit of country comes out of me when I get nostalgic for Florida and Alabama. Oak trees are easy to climb. Shit, where'd that come from? Yeah, so yeah, I'm just spoilering through the zones right now. You find 99 berserkers, 99 berserkers, 99 berserkers, and 99 berserkers. A Bard's Tale. Dude, Pool of Radiance, the bar fights in Pool of Radiance was one of those other ones where you go in and it's just overwhelming. Or I felt like that happened a lot too in like early Might and Magic. Yeah, I mean these textures look really good out here. I'm amped on it. Oh, you got some palm tree stumps. I don't remember these. That's pretty cool. I'll be honest, I don't remember the 4 groups of 99 berserkers encounter. But I absolutely know that I played all the way through 1 and 2 for sure. I wish I remembered everything about those old games. Not just like for street cred or whatever, but just because I remember them being amazing. I just don't remember the details. And they were so amazing at the time. Like that shit, like looking at some of the graphics on like not Wizardry for sure, but like Bard's Tales and Pool of Radiance and Curse of Azure Bonds and I mean even like Crescent Hawk's Inception, like all those graphics to me just look like it was like what people probably see when they're looking at a PS5 game. Um it was just it was so like I don't know, it's so for me it was so comforting to be able to have like this world I could go into. And the problem is MMOs I think ruined RPGs for me. So it made perfect sense to like log into one of those RPGs. Oops, sorry. Jasmine's opening the No, it wasn't a bong rip, Shaka. We've got this freezer where we have all the it's like a stand-up freezer with all the dogs frozen meats in it, and it's so crunchy and loud whenever she opens it. But it's like um logging into those games was it was just like so comforting to have this cool world to go into. Because there were a lot of times where we'd live someplace or I'd just move there or was whatever. And there's a lot of like turnover in on army bases. So even if you got friends at school, it's not necessarily the case that they're going to be there for long. And so it was really comforting to have like RPGs to go into. Because I would have like source books for stuff. I remember my mom got me Powers and Perils, the Powers and Perils box set for it was at TGNY. I don't know if you remember TGNY, but it was like TGNY is where you could get stuff cheaper because it was like something was broken or missing or dented or whatever. I think that was the whole purpose of the store. Maybe it was just the section we shopped in. Um anyway, like I saw the box for Powers and Perils and it was, the Avalon Hill sort of like tabletop box set and it was just so amazing looking the art. And got it home and it was a few thin like source books or whatever, but the rules were so detailed and there's just so many tables and shit in there. I was like in love. So I would constantly read through the tables and like imagine what it would be like to play that game if I had friends that could play the game. Um, and then I think really with like RPGs, it was just cool because okay, I could play and I would fucking dude read the manuals a bunch, like really pay attention, write down notes, draw maps, all that shit. And then after playing EverQuest, that really died for me. After playing EverQuest, it became extremely difficult. I'm just gonna let you guys hear it. Became really difficult to play single player RPGs again. Like if they feel lonely. They just feel like I feel like if I'm not in a world with other people and we've got like sort of shared investment and all that stuff. Yeah, first you're right. I think it was first I said this view is actually pretty awesome. I'm gonna take one without, and if I can catch it, if I can. Here, then let me hit it with a. Yeah, because this is my first time seeing the work that Bjorn has been doing in here, updating textures and stuff. And so it's still in progress, but looking pretty good. Mounted here in the background. Got some green. What time is it right now? It is 5 p.m. So I wonder if we. Yeah. Mount Ekir. So mount, as you would expect, space EKIR. Which part is 100% of your experience first? Oh, the just not playing anymore, like RPGs. Olo said same. Keyframe said 100% same for me. Nothing felt the same after experience open virtual world populated with actual people at scale. Yeah, it's just it feels weird, and it's a shame because I know there's great RPGs out there, and I've tried. I've tried to play some RPGs, and maybe playing a little co-op RPG is been kind of cool, but again, if it's not steady, then that's a little, it kind of it's hard to stay into it. Right? So like oops. Playing Original Sin 2 with Hashpipe, my buddy, was fun when we were playing together, but yeah, I just what was the original comment? Tellsmere said, Darius, it's weird to me how popular Classic WoW is. I wonder if millions playing would like EQ Classic style. I mean, they're a bit different, but it's not weird to me like how popular Classic WoW is. Especially if that was people's first MMO experience. WoW was just such a great experience. Initial WoW was just great. Like being EQ folks at the time, it was solid. Just pretty, felt good. You got to figure during that period, the push to make things more accessible and like more soloable and all that stuff. That was all new back then, and it felt great to me. But then, LOL Dizzy says Consequence is easy. LMAO, the average classic player would hate EQ. I mean that's also possible, but I think there are people that are looking for additional depth, or at least the feeling of depth in their world, in their MMO. And so it could be that there are people that, because like when I was working on EQ, I was always kind of jealous of UO a little bit. Like the idea was, I didn't play a lot of UO. Just kind of like every once in a while poke at it a little bit, but would read about it and talk to people that played it a lot. And it was a situation where, did the music stop? Oh, I did not put looping on. Okay, I guess. here. But there was stuff going on in UO where it's like, man, EQ would be so dope if it had like, you know, more of a trade skill driven economy, and like you could own a house and like all this other stuff. And it was because, again, even when I was on EQ, I was a big fan of, you know, playing Ultima and all the, like, the fact that you could kill pirates and take their ship and sail around the world in Ultima, like the original Ultimas, was so badass. And so there was a lot of times where we were working on EQ and it was kind of like, man, if we had all the cool stuff that we've got, like in terms of just base gameplay and power fantasy and progression, but we had all this other stuff going on, oh man, it would be so cool. Frostgrim said Dayak was a amazing game. That's where I went after EQ from 2001 until I switched to WoW. Was the team lead for the Nightshade class in Dayak, and it was such a great game. A buddy of mine, one of the guys when I was a GM who is a guide, my friend Jeremiah, I actually have an interview with him. If you watch the old like EQ interviews, I have an interview with Jeremiah even though he was never on EQ. He was a guide when I was a GM on like Talon or Innerrook, wherever I wound up being a GM, I forget, one of those. And he wound up being a designer on Dark Ages. We saw a lot of people like go over and try it. It affected like our concurrent numbers when Dark Ages came out. And a lot of people went over for a couple months, but then came back to EQ and thought that was pretty interesting. But my thing was I really liked the content in EQ. I mean, I was on the team as well, but like I liked the content in EQ, so I wasn't really sold on Dark Ages because I didn't really care about the RVR that much. Man, this is cool. This is looking great. I don't know, Simon, did you did all these a while back, right? It's just something about it's looking really nice right now. The shadows on the sand are a little crazy, so we'll have to look at that, but they seem a little extreme, but I don't know if everybody winds up liking them. It doesn't bother me that much. Doesn't bother me that much. Yeah, the lighting does seem different today. I just think with the shadows soften that a little bit. Like I said, the main reason why I say that is because up close it looks like Betty Crocker frosting picture. Is that Shallow Shoals over there? No, that's the opposite side. It's looking. Hold on one second. It is so we're looking east, and Shallow Shoals is way over in the west. I don't know. We haven't we like that mountain being over there is it's just over there. I don't think that's anything we've sort of worked through or talked about. A little Dizzy said, love the art in this game. Hey, thank you. Will there be some fun dervish camps? There'll be some bandit camps. Yeah, so I mean, one of the goals with the project from like day one was just to make the world feel pretty epic. I mean, because a zone is a zone, right? Like any decision on river, ocean currents. I think we've talked about being able to do them, and then we'll probably be doing them. Ollie said it's doable, so. Hey, house husband. Hope today is bright and epic as your scene is looking. Dude, my day is almost over. It is 10:23 p.m. on Friday. Yeah, I'm really hoping like when you're able to get on a ship and you go out east and you're taking a long way around the coast, that just it feels epic. Or when you get on a ship and go up the river, it just feels epic. Hits you a little bit with that sense of wonder of, especially the first time you ever run to some of these. What's going on east across the river? That is a whole separate desert region, but that'll be more of like an expedition desert. But there's definitely there's a pretty good idea of what is way out there. But I think you'll have to you may have to take a sand ship. You may have to take a sand skiff and sail across the sand to get to it. It's more of you traverse across it to a specific area. First, you know where we're at. Any giant sandworms out there? Maybe. Would that be going too far? I don't know. Zukin. You know what? If we could do like a big... it's like sandworms and long snakes and stuff like that they're so hard to like really make them not feel super funky when you're fighting them. But yeah, so we mainly came over here to just kind of get an idea of like what things are looking like as we're updating the textures and stuff. Mongolian deathworm is so weird. Viro, the Burrower, lol. What's wrong with the Burrower? That was a brilliant event. Navarre 808, thank you for the follow. Here, I'll tell the story one more time. So I was an apprentice designer. And one of the guys that I was sharing an office with had the deep zone. His name was Lawrence, and he was the spell guy. So he had a lot of spell work to do, and he didn't have time to work on all of the zone. And he had his mind flayer, and I'm gonna rat him out and close your ears if you don't want crassness or whatever. But the mind flayer, Overfiend, and all those guys over there in that area were absolutely inspired by naughty anime. And that was a running joke in our tiny little office because there was like 3 or 4 of us in this tiny office. And so, but he had this area that, if I remember it correctly, it was kind of like this, right? And he was like, "Hey, can you put some content in the deep for me. Right? And I think there was like a pillar or something, pillars. And then there was like a room, right? And this room, it just had this, it was just this random ass tunnel. It was like looking like some sort of like a homeless Cubert right now or whatever. But anyway, so we had this tunnel. And he was like, can you put something in here? And Steve and I were really into doing triggered events at the time. Like everything we were thinking of all the time was like triggered events. It was just constantly triggered events. And yeah, it's kind of messy. And so, yeah, well, whatever, man. We were having fun. We were doing shit that the database was not meant to do. In those triggered events, like, basically, we didn't have scripting. So those triggered events were literally just like basically behind the scenes. Let me find something. It's like zone spawn command or something. So behind the scene, the stuff that was making the Burrower Beast or the Ring War or the Ring of Fire and Acrylia, it was literally just Ultra Mega Mighty. Thank you for the mighty raid. Welcome. It was literally, it was just commands being kicked off, right? It was like these different commands that we would have. And it would be like, well, this is zone spawn command. Right? And it would just kind of like the logic would link and do some shit that, you know, like it wasn't supposed to do. Is like an invisible man would shout and you wouldn't be able to hear it as a player because it had pluses in the text, and then it would trigger sort of a quest event. And then so anyways, that was, you guys have heard this before. So we were really jacked up on like just doing interesting shit like that. So he was like, can you do something with this tunnel? And so I was like, I guess I can, you know, like, oops. Oh, it's still, whatever. So I looked at the tunnel, and the first, like, within 10 seconds of looking at this long ass tunnel, I was like, you know what? We have these worms. And I immediately was just like, hey, can we just jam one of those big worms in here? And have its mouth sticking out? And I like spawned it and it filled it up, and it was just like, all right, that works. Now, like, this is how the event was designed. That was it. I was like, I'm going to jam a worm in this tunnel. That is really the extent to which that was the plan at the moment. It was like, all right, here's our worm. It fills the tunnel. Now what? That's going to be pretty... What kind of fight is that? Like, you just walk up and there's worms in the tunnel. You're just like whacking it. Out of context, that is a questionable statement. It is true. Welcome to the channel. And so then I was like, all right, it needs to do something. Well, first of all, we have a problem. I was like, oh, yeah, you're whacking the worm in the tunnel. Exactly. And we've already discussed that everybody in here is familiar with this stuff. Got this tunnel with jam a worm in it. It was honestly, it made perfect sense. It made perfect sense, and we were just like, we'll definitely jam a worm in a tunnel for Eminem before it's all said and done. What's the point of having a game if you like where are we at? Okay. So that looks like you laying down drinking beer. It makes sense. So anyway, I was like, all right, so it's going to puke up, it's going to throw up worms. That's what it's going to do. It's going to spawn worms. And as soon as I thought it's going to spawn worms, then I was like, okay, Jasmine, I'm telling this story of, for the 100th time, the Burrower event. And so jammed a worm in the tunnel. It's puking out baby worms. And then I was like, okay, well, but they're just going to pull them down this tunnel. So then I was like, can we make, well, how do I block this entrance? So it's like, all right, we'll have another worm or two that appear here. They burrow up out of the ground. And it's like, because we couldn't really block it. And I know over the years, you guys, it looks like a rabbit. So far it's been a crack pipe. It's been house. Did you see a crack pipe? It's a litmus test. It's a Rorschach test. So house husband saw him laying down drinking a beer. And now it is, what was it again? What was the new one? A rabbit. Yes. So it's like, can we have a knockback spell that keeps people in the room? And I know you guys have broken this a long time ago. Since then, you know how to get past it and pull everything out. And homeless cuber. Okay. And so it would spawn these waves of worms that would come in from the sides, and then it would basically try to keep you in here, which it did for a while. And then, yeah, it was just wave after wave, and then they would get bigger. And I think after the 2 last big ones come out, I think the 2 big ones come out, and they rip out of them, and it causes the big worm to die. Yeah, so the burrower beast actually had like parasite worms as well, I think is what the story was. Shadowed Man Heart, thank you for the follow. Yeah, and so, and I only spent like 2 or 3 days getting it in, getting it working, tuned it the best I could, and we just like basically it just went live. And then I went on to Vishen because I wanted to see someone actually like playing it, and I just kind of like, because it wasn't super, I tested it myself. I mean, nobody tested it. And so I went on to Vishen and just like watched, like was hidden and watched FOH hit it. And that was that. And they paid you for all of this? Yeah. This is how I got my job on the team. I was an apprentice. During Luckland, I got on as a full-time apprentice. I did this. I did a lot of Charval, the starting area. Hung out with Steve while he was doing like Ring of Fire and Acrylia, and helped him do like some base pop filler and filler items. Hollow Shade, I helped do the base pop there while he was working on the war. The like Gremlin War. But I base popped the bulk of the zone, I think. That wasn't mobs that he needed for the war. I did the Cursed event in Treza Basement. I did the Beast Lord Epic. Like, that was all work I did as an apprentice. I wasn't even on the team. So that's how I got on the team. And probably other stuff, I'm sure, but whatever. Now it just sounds like a freaking humble brag. I did Chardock after that, I think. I don't think it, because I think Chardock revamp happened after Luckland was out. I did not fix Pluto Caverns Bandit Camp audio bug. Hey, you got a problem with this map? We have a problem with this map. What you can do? Hear me out. Worms. You're hired. Exactly. That was the industry back in the day. That's all it took. Hey, not Bard. Damn, big worm. Said so many times during the making of that. Who is responsible for the random text on loading screen? Came up with, no one can hear you scream in the gray. No idea. It would have been one of the programmers putting it in. It wasn't a table, I don't think. And, but I think they may have asked the team for different ideas off and on over the years for those. Random Friday shout out on Friday makes Friday better. It's true. Um, I always kind of feel like succulents and stuff should be clumped a little bit more. You distance always amazes you. Yeah, dude, it is, you know, we pay a price for it. Like we're definitely having to figure some stuff out, but again, it's just like the idea is to the idea is just to make it feel like, I don't know, you know, when people are like, how is this different than EverQuest? It's like, all right, well, we've got a foundation that is built on EverQuest, but the idea is really to like just carry that fantasy a bit further, right? Like, oh man, I always thought the whole like, um, you know, the bridge, like the Krana bridges, it just felt like the world was bigger in that area. Um, and I liked the Karanas. I liked, you know, I didn't mind that there was nothing out there really, you know, or that there was such a big gap to travel across. It just made the world feel real. So, Roar said yes, the MMO genre had a chance to split, but EQ went the wrong route, and WoW style became the norm. I think, you know, I think it's just, it's hard to argue with how much WoW did right, but it's just, I'm really excited that, well, we'll see. I'm excited that at least some of you um kind of believe in the viability of the more sort of EQ feel. Is we were talking about, I was talking to Cod about this earlier. You know, just that feeling of the difference in camps versus like just running through dungeons and pulling to camps and like being in a place. I don't think people understand, this is something we've talked about a lot in the development of this project. I don't think people understand how how psychologically reinforcing it is to be in a camp, because you're in a place, right? And so it's really anchoring you in the world, and it's really like reinforcing that you're at a place, right? And so I think camps have just, and I understand why we got away from them. All of us at the time, I mean, you saw it with, you know, we tried it a bit, like with Lost Dungeons, right? You know, just the idea of being able to go on a dungeon crawl was just a big deal, and all that stuff. And so I think everything that was tried that got away from the EQ formula was valid and worthwhile and has value. But it's a parallel experience to these other experiences that we just wanted to dive back in on. And like, these were the discussions that when Nick and Ollie and I first met, these were the discussions we were just having a ton, right? Because there is stuff that you know, Nick has been wanting to do for, you know, at this point decades, as somebody that's just been a huge player of like MMOs. There's stuff that Ollie's been wanting to do forever, especially since he's coming from like a more of a, you know, he loves Star Wars Galaxies on top of like EQ and WoW and all that, but like also UO and Swig and stuff. And then I've been wanting to kind of like take the tools back to basics, get camps back in, do a lot of this shit. You know, game after game, company after company that I've been at in my career, it's just been, man, it would be cool to go back and do this stuff again. Because there's value that's being missed here. Because like you can make a lot of really good content very cheaply, and I don't mean that to like diminish the value of the content, but like, it's one thing, you know, if you look at a fully cinematic scripted sort of encounter of like a Star Wars The Old Republic, the production cost that goes into content for like a, you know, a sweater, Star Wars The Old Republic, that the expense of developing that content versus putting camps in a game, it's just, they're on different planets. But if you're a player like me that likes sitting in a camp and like bullshitting and just steady pulls, and it's been a long week of work and you just want to get in and relax and kill some shit and maybe get some loot from the the slot machine, it's fantastic and comforting, and it's a lot cheaper to make. So yeah, anyway. Ultra Mega said, played WoW for years. There's plenty they've done poorly. Unfortunately, the only other MMO I played was Anarchy Online relatively early on. Did not have a good time. Lost Dungeons of Norath was directly pulled from. I was playing Anarchy Online. And I was like, dude, can we do these little mission spaces? And then in Planes of Power, we faked it under the world with scripting, and then dove straight into Eldon because of that. Shadowed Manheart says, so far I've definitely enjoyed the vibe. I just haven't had much time to dive in and work due to work. I'm grateful for y'all pushing to make this. Hey, thank you. And we'll provide more opportunities as we roll towards early access. I forget where Eldon dungeons procedural or static. They were static. We couldn't figure out procedural. It was just, it wasn't working. We couldn't figure out how to do the spawns. Like, we would have had to change our spawn system and everything. So what we did instead was the lead environment artist, Dave, who I was mentioning at the earlier in the stream, and he created a tool in like a script in 3ds Max where we had dungeon pieces, and then it would procedurally generate some dungeons with like, we set the rules of like, we wanted there to be 3 directions that you could go in most of them, and he would generate like 25 or more maps 2D top down, and then he would print them out, and we'd sit at a desk and just kind of look at each one of the ones and kind of see what shapes were kind of good, especially for the feel of the dungeon. And then we would go and hey, what if this was, we changed this branch over here, or this dead end seems kind of hokey, blah blah blah. And so we put notes on those. We would keep like 5. I think, wasn't it like 5 for each theme or something? And then yeah, we just used that. And then there was a lot of like SQL and Excel magic being done. I think Lost Dungeons wound up being, we added like another 150 or 200,000 records to the database just for that expansion, because we were doing, every map had like 5 tiers, or a tier of content every 5 levels or something like that. So yeah, that was Lost Dungeons. Let's see. Modular maps build asked. The maps were made of modular pieces, so basically Dave would just kind of go, he would come up with some chunks that made sense, right? Like T sections and 4-ways, and and they were all kind of themed. So like in this may actually be a bigger room where there's like potentially doors, but potentially blocked off. And then this section may exist again over here and look slightly different. And this may be like bi-level with a ladder coming up to here, right? That type of stuff. So we started with these chunks, and then and then we would generate a bunch of sort of top downs, and then kind of figure it out, and then move some stuff around. But we definitely couldn't do it dynamically. Sandy Pass. I was wondering, when you said dick big boxes, I was like, Well, that's variable. Dick as in... Der dickest. Yeah, it's German. Dick means thick in German. There you go. That's the easy one to remember. Are we gonna get some beans about island expeditions and how they work? There's still a lot for us to lock down on those before we can actually share it. All right. Okay. So I'm kind of like powering down. I've got a bunch of stuff I want to read. It is 10:48 p.m. You know what? Let's wrap this up. Is anybody from the team streaming? Is Zach or Zukin or anybody on at the moment? All right, Zach, if you hop on really quick, then I will raid you. Yeah. If you guys stick around, then you'll get to see some art being made. And I know how it is with a lot of streams, though. So don't feel bad if you go. I know you guys wind up sitting here for a few hours. And you're like, I need an excuse to get up. But you really should, if you can, if you will. If you're just sitting at work, why not? Stick around. We'll say goodnight here, but that does not mean goodbye. We'll say goodnight for the weekend. I'll see you Wednesday. I'll say goodnight to everybody, but then stick around and we will raid Zach, and you can see some of this wonderful art being made. Liz Biscuits, see ya. Corvid, see ya. Keyframe, you're welcome. English, hard. Tsunami-san, good night, buddy. Corbett said Zach was making some hair for dwarves. Nice. Feldane, you're very welcome. See ya, Kevin. Nina. Quick 44, you're welcome. Telsmere says, Robot, I've been trying an EQ TTLP run on Necromancer, and I spent a lot of levels in Castle Mistmore. Now I feel like I've really been there. Interesting place. Yeah, it's fun when you actually spend time in a dungeon like that. Roar, good night. Isan, see you, man. Bill, thanks for being here. Have a great weekend yourself, Quixana. Good night. Not Bard. Shadowman Heart said, glad to meet you officially. Looking forward to seeing you around. Hey, looking forward to seeing you back. Good night says, Grim Day. Ultra Mega Mighty. Gonna be around for a while. Stress testing your system. It's been on and doing stuff for a solid 2 days now. Nice. Hey, see Eric. Hope you're feeling all right. Sunny Pass. Guten Nacht. Schönes Wochenende. You Shoes. See ya. Thanks again for the book recommendation, Trexid. You're very welcome. Good night. Look at that lineup right there. Simon, First, and Zukin. Good night, guys. See ya, Lich. Drew. All right. Zach is ready. Drew ATX, take care. Justin Beard, have a good one, buddy. See ya, Wyvern. And Tsunami-san. Yeah, we might. We don't want to rip things off too much, but yeah. All right, guys. Spent88, thank you for the follow. We're gonna raid Zach now. Since I remember which button it is. Oh, it's that one. Cool. All right, let's do this. I should just be able to favorite that. Why can't I just favorite it? All right, we're raiding. Start the raid. Oh, he is working on dwarves. Nice. Friday dwarf action. All right, raiding now. Everybody have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you on Wednesday.